Today's headline is a smoking room orgy. The subheadline says, Wild spirits disturb the voyage at the Gallia. Wine, frolic, and fight. This article originally came from the New York Herald. It says, it is doubtful whether the steamship Gallia ever had a livelier passage than that which ended a couple of days ago, or whether she ever before came into port with her well-stocked liquor bins so thoroughly depleted. Some of the passengers, who appear to lack a proper sense of high-caste humor necessary to appreciate the kind of fun which was dished out to them from the smoking room sanctuary, are intensely indignant over the goings-on and declare that Captain Murphy failed to do his duty in neglecting to keep better order in the cabins. But some people are very finicky, as the story of the proceedings will show. It appears that there were some wild western spirits on board, belonging to the smoking room crowd, who had the cowboy idea of decorum, and who took possession of the ship from the word go. They had stacks of money, or they knew how to play poker, which is the same thing in the smoking room, and they nearly ran the little deck steward off his legs with orders from the bar. For a day or two their capers did not assume a very alarming aspect, but toward the latter end of their voyage, their conduct degenerated to the level of a very uproarious orgy. And as unfortunately, the smoking room was so situated that passengers not in sympathy with the carousers could plainly hear their loud talk and the language which was scarcely intended for the ears of ladies, the latter got the full benefit of the performance. A passenger's story. I have crossed the ocean many times, said a gentleman passenger yesterday to a Herald reporter, and I always travel by preference on the Cunard line, but I never before saw such disgraceful proceedings. There was a young Englishman aboard, a half-witted fellow, enormously wealthy, who was traveling with a companion for his health. That poor fellow, who was very fat, and in consequence was nicknamed Jumbo, and Bobby was plucked in every possible way, at the poker table, with the dice box, by pools cut and dried in favor of those who bet against him, and by brazenly calling upon him to order up champagne by the case. The voyage cost him many $1,000s. The young rascals, after shamelessly bleeding him, made fun of him to his face, and he, poor stupid man, did not know the difference. One of the passengers had a little Irish donkey on board. They dressed him up with a stovepipe hat and other habiliments, and made Bobby appear with him in a duet in the cabin. It was the funniest exhibition I ever saw. But imagine a fat Englishman with an income of $90,000 a year prancing around the saloon of a Cunarder in company with a real jackass. The next incident of interest from the smoking room was a gambling row between two Hebrews, one from Texas, the other from New York. The latter accused the former of cheating at cards. The former fell on the latter tooth and nail, tore his face open, and clawed him so badly that he had to keep to his room for the rest of the voyage. Afterward, when the gang were full of liquor, they dragged him out of his berth, hauled him up on deck, half threw him overboard, a thing they might have easily done in fun considering their hilarious condition, and then compelled him to go to the smoking room and shake hands with his assailant. There was one man on board who for a time led in the gambling and got up huge bets on every conceivable thing that could be bet on. He had such good luck, however, making $200 one day and $100 the next on the day's run, that the crowd thought he must be playing Plunger Walton's tactics and declined to let him bet anymore. Last Sunday, however, was a day of terror. The gang drank until the captain, on complaint of many passengers, closed the bar. I think the ship's officers did all they could to quell the ardor of the enthusiasts, but of course they had to remember that they were passengers. They could not interfere unless some actual injury was done. When the crowd had got utterly reckless, they performed a number of tricks, for which I am sure they are now heartily ashamed. One of their number was stripped of his clothes and his head poked out of a porthole for the delectation of the steerage passengers, who were so incensed that they threatened to make a row, and it took a generous offering from the bar to appease their wrath. A pail of dirty water thrown upon the heads of some of their number did not make things any better. The gang got hold of a patent medicine man from Boston and got him fearfully and not particularly agreeable to polite ears. They stole steamer chairs and threw them overboard, and laid a plot to throw all the chairs overboard into the sea Sunday night, but Captain Murphy was appealed to and placed the seamen on guard. It was a pretty rank performance all through. A well-known Brooklyn gentleman, who was a passenger on the Gallia and who has made several voyages, corroborates the above story. He said, The whole thing was an undoubted trick of professional gamblers who got a lot of wild young fools into their clutches and made them make fools of themselves, while all the time they were being industriously milked. They were made to think that they were indicating blood and spirit, when all the while they were being made foils for sharp rascals who infest the European steamers on all lines. I saw a little of the smoking room proceedings, and it didn't take an hour to see through the trick. I warned many of the young fellows, but you might as well have warned the wind. Well, they are poorer and sorrier today. A great deal of money changed hands on this voyage. My advice to young men is to beware of colonels and captains on the list of ocean steamers. This story came from the great state of Ohio, being reported in the Cincinnati Commercial Gazette of August 16th, 1885. Thank you for joining us today. If you want to continue to uncover all of America's lost and forgotten history, then remember before you leave to hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and remember to like and comment below. And we will see you next time on Americana Archives.